enjoyed coaching this way? I mean, you had an aggressive style coming in, and have you kind of enjoyed coaching this way a little bit, maybe more than you had the other way?
Well, I mean, I think we've played aggressively this year. You know, like I've said time and again, we lead the league in shots. You know, so we've been extremely aggressive. I can't remember a time where we're not aggressive. We're always aggressive. That's what I believe in. You know, deciding the game. But I've also learned different ways to decide the game. You don't always have to do it with pressing and possession. Sometimes you can decide it with the counterattack and in different ways. So. But I certainly like to be aggressive, no doubt about it. It fits my personality, it fits my beliefs. You know, I've played more with one holding mid than two, frankly. Obviously, since I've been here, played more with two holding mids. You know, I think it depends on the players you have, and you know. But I'm liking right now playing the way we're playing. Yes, and I think, you know, we're back more. Possessing the ball like I prefer, but like I said, that's not always going to be the case. If it makes sense to not have as much of the ball, then we'll do it. We'll do whatever it takes to win. But you know, but I am enjoying the way we're playing right now, and it's working. And we're getting results. We haven't been beaten. I think it's the last 5 games, and you know, on the road we've been very good, and we're looking forward to going to this game. And our mindset has been to win, and that's going to be our mindset. We know we can draw if we score a goal, 1-1 or 2-2, but we're not going to play for a draw. We're going to play to score goals, and we're going to play to win. But we're facing a very good team, who's also extremely talented, extremely organized. They play a little different than we do, but they're very effective in how they play, and we have a lot of respect for their team. And that's why we were really excited to get into this series, because our games versus them are very interesting and exciting, and you know, there's a lot of elements that go into these games we play versus Vancouver.
With how strong you guys have finished the season and going into this game in such a good position, looking back on a time when things weren't going so well, how satisfying has it been that kind of the changes you made are working, and you know, hitting the stretch at a good time?
Well, I think, you know, everybody lives in their own fishbowl, you know. So in our fishbowl, and you know, I'm in it, the players are in it, you guys are all in this fishbowl. Sometimes it seems, you know, worse than it is. I mean, you go in other teams' fishbowl, and you go in their scrums, and you go in their blogs. You know, you go in their supporters, you know, in the bars, and it's the same thing. And this is MLS, you know what I mean? So I think our ability to kind of manage, you know, our fishbowl, and you know, stay locked in on what we're doing, and stay positive, and not lose belief in what we're doing, but also being aware that, you know, when you look up the street and you look, you know, in other, you know, markets, that's the thing that I always kept going back to. We'll look at the other teams. We're right there, you know, and so that makes it a lot easier just to stay focused on what you're doing. But I think that was huge for us, because at the end, when we needed points, we got them, and some of the teams didn't. And I think it was all about us sticking to our process. It was about the players keeping faith. It was about the coaching staff keeping belief in the players. That never wavered. You know, a lot of times when you're not getting results, even though you're right there, you know, like I said, you think it's worse than it is. The players think it's worse than it is. You know, the media compounds that. That's just a reality, you know. And but I think we've stayed very insulated, and part of that is we have a lot of trust in this club. Coaches to players, players to coaches, owners, GMs, all that. You know, that helps. That steady hand really helps, because when the pressure tightens, like it does on every single team, I think the difference between the teams that ride through it and the ones that don't is the culture and the trust. You know, and in terms of how the messages are insulated, and you know, the belief in each other. And I think, you know, that never wavered, which is why we went into Salt Lake. You know, I coached aggressively and not tentatively, and the players played aggressively and not tentatively, because no one was no one lacked confidence or belief in the process of what we were doing. And I think that's the big reason that at the end of the year we got results.
How
When you
challenging?
Last one.
How challenging was it to stick with that process and have that faith?
You know, for me, not challenging because I've been through it now. You know, I'm not a new coach. You know, I'm new to the pros, 3 years now, but even then, I've now been through, 3 seasons. So, but I've been a head coach for quite a while. So, you know, you learn to just stay focused on the process and to continue to believe in, in what you know. And yet I'm always challenging myself all the time, privately, and questioning what could I do differently. And that's why going to Salt Lake, I felt it was a good time to change something. I'm not going to be stubborn. I'm not going to be naive. I'm going to always look at ways to get better and change if I need to change, and pick the lock, because if it's not working, I'll tell you guys all the time that it looks good, it feels good, which it does, but there might be little things that I can do to change, whether that's lineup, system, a little bit different training, all that stuff. And I'm always looking for ways to kind of stimulate different things, and and I don't always tell you I'm doing that, but I'm doing it.
It's not obviously just this year where you guys have overcome some of the obstacles and to play your best soccer at the end of the year, to rebound and get wins after losses. It's been something through your tenure as head coach. Does that have to do with bringing the player? You talked about bringing players with the right personality in. Does it have to do with having a team with the right personality, or just have to do with the messages you're conveying? Or?
I think it's everything. It's culture. It's character. It's making sure that there is a clear identity, clear process that you follow, which makes it easier to stay the course. It's developing a trust in managing your players, so they don't jump off board with you, and obviously you don't jump off board with them, but they also know they're going to be held accountable, and there's always going to be competition for jobs in the starting 11. But that's just a part of it. So it's all those little things. It's not pointing fingers, other than at yourself. Those are little things that, when push comes to shove and the pressure tightens and bullets start flying, some players, they duck and run. Some coaches do the same, or you start, hiding and, like I said, pointing fingers. And we don't do that here. And I think that's why the players always respond positively through adversity. We're all fighters and we're all good guys and we all stick together. And yet we know we have to get the job done too, so we're honest with ourselves. I think you see too, and I think it's really important to take note of, I think you see this team is not in the playoffs just to be in it. And you've seen that in the first 2 games. That was never going to be the case. We were always going to want to be in it to win it. And you've seen how hungry these guys are in the first 2 games. We're not satisfied just to be in it. That'll never be the case. So we're going to give everything we have to try to get back home in front of our supporters. That's a huge motivation for us. We left the home game Sunday, and there's this thought, if we don't get the job done, that they don't get another game, our supporters. And we want to give them another series, and we want to keep this thing going. And I know the players are really hungry to do it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.